Yeah, we're off. Okay.
Off to the races.
Welcome to running out. What are we at? 6? A, B, C, D, E, F. Yeah, episode 6. Good morning and welcome to you, Dave. How you doing, mate?
That was the most unorganized intro you've
Yeah,
done yet. I like
yeah,
it. You're welcome to my world. It's starting to rub off on you, I think.
yeah. I also was thinking about this yesterday because we were talking about intros, weren't we, last week? And the idea, I'm very conscious of to say good morning, and obviously people may listen to this at any point. So we're just welcome, whatever time of the day it is when you choose to listen to this. Welcome to the Velvet Revolution. Yeah. How are you doing, Dave? You all right?
Yeah, I'm really okay. I said it every time. I've been sneezing. Not sure if that's the early signs of hay fever. Not sure, or I've got some sort of lurgs. But other than that, everything is tickety boo.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about you? You all right?
Yeah. Yeah. Loving the sunshine. I think this might be the last day of blue skies for another couple of weeks until British weather decides to bring us some more sunshine. But yeah, no, I spent yesterday hanging around in town and chatting to people in the park, which was always nice in the sunshine. So it's good.
Yeah, having a bit of time out. You got another week of student-free week, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. So definitely feel very decompressed and done a lot of decluttering. So yeah, next week I feel like I might be a bit more social. I might go out and
Yeah,
speak to some people. You never know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe your I'm going to call it a lazy intro. Your laid back intro is you're starting to melt into not
Yeah.
being in work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're starting to get all like, yeah,
Yeah.
wobbly,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's good. I like it. Let's see how we get on then for this one. This could be a little bit of a wobbly episode then. Right, so you say episode 6 and we're on F
Yeah.
and I've got to
And
pick.
it's your turn to pick.
All right, so look, I'm looking at them now. They're all really good. And can I read them out? The
Yeah.
ones I've got, right? So I've got forgiveness,
Hmm.
faithful, faith, fear, forgetful, flexible, firm, fury, friendly, foreboding,
Mm.
frustration.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to land on frustration.
Oh, you're going for the last one. It's
Yeah,
normally your style. Normally you pick the first one.
yeah. I don't know, made me want to. I don't know, frustration. There you go.
Okay.
Right,
Boom.
there we go. Frustration. So,
Why frustration? Where have you recently been frustrated, or are you feeling frustrated at this moment in time?
frustration is something that is definitely been prevalent throughout
Hmm.
my life. Definitely. We ain't got long enough for me to get into it.
We could make this the director's cut. We could do a
Oh,
4-hour
right.
special.
Honestly. Um, but yeah, I feel frustration. Oh my God. I just spilled my whole canister of water off the desk.
Oh dear.
Missed the plugs. That's okay. Right.
Okay.
Sorry. Um, frustration. Yeah, I mean, look, it'd be weird if you never felt frustration, wouldn't it? Do you not
Mm.
think?
Yeah. 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 Definitely. I mean, frustration. I mean, it's one of those emotions and one of those feelings that just gets you into a point of, like, if it takes it too far, then it's disappearing into anger, isn't it? It's getting into that point where you're so frustrated with the situation that you wanna explode.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that because, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, frustration is absolutely the root cause of an outburst.
Yeah,
Do you not think?
yeah, and I mean, I think at the moment, I think the frustration for me sits in this complete uh, inertia. Is that the right word? This sort of place we sit in at this moment in time where we feel really, really powerless, and there's loads of stuff being done to us, or at least that's how it's playing out in the media, and it just feels like we have no control.
Mm.
So that frustration is sitting there where these. That's why I'm avoiding the news at the moment, because it's just one idiotic decision after another, um, and it just feels like, yeah, absolutely no control, no power, and I'm just feeling if I sit there and soak it up, I'm just so frustrated at the lack of people doing the right thing.
The lack of people doing the right thing. Yeah. Mm.
And I guess that's uh, my morals as well, though, isn't it? I guess it's you know what I perceive to be the right thing,
Are
and
you on your moral high ground there?
yeah, yeah, I'm definitely getting my soapbox. But yeah, I just think it's frustrating when people don't do the right thing.
Okay. No, I agree. Right. So look, I'm just looking it up in the book.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The book of words
Yep.
dictionary. So it doesn't actually well, it says frustrate and then it says frustrates, frustrating, frustrated.
Okay.
So okay, frustration. So prevent a plan or action from progressing or succeeding. Prevent someone from doing or achieving something.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, and it's got examples here. Make someone feel dissatisfied as a result of being unable to do something. And it's got here the Latin frustrare. I don't know if I've said that right. It's the origin, and that means disappoint. Does that make sense to you?
Really.
No?
Austere sounds like a French poet to me.
Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me, does it? Frustrate,
I,
frustrating.
I mean, it's talking about it. It's talking about it in the sense of other people, isn't it? That you're stopping other people. It's talking about us frustrating other people, I guess.
Hmm.
And I guess I'm pulling it back to the idea that when I feel frustrated by other people, and that lack of control, I guess that's where I'm going with it. The idea that we cannot control someone else's actions,
Yeah.
and we can't get our own way. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
frustration in yeah, I can think of an example of someone that's frustrating me at this moment in time.
Are we going to get a lawsuit?
I'm just not going to go there because it's too personal. But there's a person that's just not.
Oh, in your own personal life, or is
Yeah,
this
yeah.
someone that you don't know in who's a
No, no, no. In my own personal life, I think at the moment well, I guess there's a number of people actually. There's a number of situations in the past few weeks where I feel the situation is quite clear, but the other person has managed to completely be opposed to what I think.
This all
So
sounds very cryptic.
yeah, I
Is
guess I don't want to go.
no, you can't. You can't.
Can't go there, but I just think there's times where I've got a very clear opinion about something,
Hmm.
and I try to put that across to other people, and they won't accept it. And it's
Okay.
it's it's that almost that belief in like I'm right, you're wrong,
Okay.
but I don't want to be that sort of black and white about it. I don't want to be that egotistical that my opinion is the only one that counts.
Can I ask you a question? How do you know yours is the right one?
Exactly. This is where I'm going. I'm starting to doubt myself as I'm talking about it. So
Should we dissect this?
yeah, go on.
Right. So because it could be quite fun for me,
Mm, mm.
not for you.
No,
Um,
I'm good. I shouldn't have gone there, should I?
So let's just eliminate some things. Is it bureaucracy? Is this work related?
One of the situations is, yeah.
Okay, all right. So because we don't want to go there, because if anyone's
Mm.
listening from your work, you're going to be alleviated from your duties. Sorry, head teacher, we don't
Yeah.
require you anymore. Okay, so because this all comes down to perception. It always comes down to perception, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Does it not?
Yeah, yeah.
How we see things through the lens that we see things, right? And we are very biased. I'm very biased in the way I see things. Of course, to me, it's going to be the correct, way of me seeing things
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm seeing it. It's my experience. Is it impaired? So the way that you're seeing this situation, I know you, and you know how I do things. We bounce things, don't we?
Yeah.
We 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 check ourselves before we wreck ourselves, as they say. Um, so yeah, have you done that?
Yeah. I think I sort of I feel like I tried to play it out. I tried to create a script, and then that script didn't work because I didn't anticipate what the other person was going to say.
So there was a reaction, a misinterpretation, or whether it's a misinterpretation, it was an interpretation that didn't align with the one that you foreseed would
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think in my head, any confrontation, sorry, that's the way to sound automatically like there's going to be a level of discord. Uh, any conversation where I'm going into thinking that the person may or may not agree with me, I've automatically got a sense of fear
Mhm.
because I am, yeah, I'm not, yeah, I'm not confident in my own ability to argue my case, I guess. And then I just get, yeah, I walk away feeling very frustrated that I haven't maybe put across what I'm thinking,
Mm,
and then that'll play on me, and then I'll just feel guilty because it'll be my
yeah.
fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's me that's messed up.
Do you think it's a fixed viewpoint that is malleable?
Um, maybe, and I think maybe I was fixed in my thinking beforehand as well. So maybe I have to change.
Well, no, I'm not telling you. I'm not saying that. I'm suggesting. Well, maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's my
Um,
automatic setting is to think that I was wrong. So
be,
you know,
yeah, because I think it's like no right, no wrong.
yeah,
Then everyone's a winner.
yeah,
Because I heard it said, I've read this, I've heard it said, and I've read it somewhere, and I've also wrote about it in my own way
mm,
about the the chicken and the duck. And I got this is from some Zen teacher somewhere along the lines. I'm sure did a little lecture on this that I listened to about the husband and wife who were having an argument over the sound of a bird. Well,
right,
it's a duck. No, it's a chicken. No,
okay,
it's not. It's a duck. No, it ain't. It's a chicken. That kind of thing.
yeah,
Really trivial.
yeah.
Does it matter? Does it really matter? Do you know, do you know what I mean? It's like, let her have it. It's a chicken.
Okay.
Even if you know it's a duck or you think it's a duck. They couldn't see the bird. They could hear it.
Yeah.
Is a duck a bird,
Yes.
teacher?
I don't teach duck matters. I don't know.
And chicken?
Chicken's a bird, yeah. They're
Yeah,
both they both
just
got
checking.
wings.
Yeah, I did go to school.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Mm,
It really helped me when I came across that because that's where we get caught out. That's where we get frustrated.
mm.
It's like we're not getting heard, right? You're not hearing me.
Yeah.
I'm not exempt to this, by the way. I'm in the gang of, you know, can have a real fixed viewpoint and it's not malleable sometimes. I get so fixated on it. It's like, because it's about being right.
Yeah,
Even when you're, if you know deep down that, because sometimes we can be absolutely certain that we're, I'm sure that's this right. I'm sure I'm right. I'm sure
yeah,
I'm right. But then there are times when it's like, actually, I know I'm not right, but I'm not gonna give that away. I'm right, no matter what. And it can frustrate other people. That's where the frustration comes in for other people. It's just the fixed point, don't matter. Like the chicken and duck, don't matter.
yeah. I guess it's how much it does matter. I guess it's the sort of 1 to 10 scale, isn't it? Like,
So,
is
so
it does the duck and the chicken matter out of 10? Is it a big deal? Probably not. It's probably a 2 or a 3. If you're, I don't know, if you're Bill Oddie and your job is watching birds, then actually it might be really important to you to say that you're right because you know the difference between a duck and a chicken.
oh yeah, that's defined your whole career on that knowledge. You you
Yeah.
got you got to deliver the goods. You got to know, right?
So it might be a 9 out of 10 for him. I don't know. but but I
So
think yeah, I think there's situations where you feel strongly about something and you are at 8 or a 9, then that's where if someone else isn't going to hear your point of view, and it feels to me at the moment that we live in a time where everyone's views are an 8 or a 9, and we've got a lot of shouting and a lot of people not listening to other people.
yeah, everyone's doing that. It's a fucking chicken. No,
Yeah,
it fucking ain't. It's a fucking duck.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's all of that. It's amped.
yeah,
It's really cranked up. It's not like a mellow little discussion of, oh, do you think it's a chicken or a duck? I'm not sure. Don't it don't really matter, does it? Let it be a chicken. Oh,
yeah,
okay. Well, maybe it's a duck. It ain't like that. It's like it's a fucking duck, you motherfucker. All of that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Um, that's poetry. That rhyme.
yeah, yeah,
But but anyway, yeah. It's like what's at stake. So going back to your thing,
yeah.
what's in it for you to be right?
Um, at that point, it was about yeah, it was it felt to me like a quite an important point I needed to make, but I was also really tired. I'm gonna
Oh, hello. Oh,
yeah,
hello.
I'm making excuses. I'm making excuses for myself.
Right.
I was exhausted, and I'm
Eh,
pretty sure I handled it badly.
Here we go. Here we go. The plot
So
thickens.
yeah, so I think maybe I was at a point where I was like, I'm going to be right
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
tired and I need to be right about something.
Can I ask you, was you hungry as well, and did you need a pee?
Probably, probably, yeah. That's my normal state at school. So yeah,
Oh my days. Okay, so we're getting to it now.
yeah,
Do you think?
yeah.
Maybe. I don't
I
know.
mean, it frustrated me, and then I walked away, and then I just couldn't. I was yeah, it played on my mind for a couple of days. I couldn't sleep properly, and it just the situation kept on playing over in my head. So it's not. Yeah, I can't
I
I can't
really,
I
yeah.
can't cope with that frustration. I can't cope with that
Uh,
lack
I
of closure.
I just want to, give you props, man, for like, owning it and being, transparent, especially on air because we're recording. And it takes great courage and honesty, to and openness
Hmm.
to say, look, this is where I'm at with things, and that's a beautiful thing, man. It's better than defiantly saying, you know, I can't see outside of that. I'm so fixated on my viewpoint,
Yeah.
and I'm so fixated on the narrative that I'm right.
Hmm.
And look, disclaimer: I'm not naming anyone here. I'm just making an observation that there's certain characters that are well positioned in the world at the moment that display some behaviours that perhaps aren't too dissimilar to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Where it's a very fixated, point of view that no one else can possibly challenge that because it's the only way. That's where that frustration from everyone that, because frustration for me comes when you can see quite clearly that it's inaccurate,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. But again, it's context, isn't it? It's your perspective that it's wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's the important bit to hang on to, isn't it? Is knowing. I guess it's if you're ready to accept you could be wrong, then I'm more likely to accept your opinion.
Mm, yeah, 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 yeah. There was it was a while back, in England, in United Kingdom, there's a well-known TV morning show. I didn't watch it, but someone told me about this, and I loved it. It was a really good one, and I started using it when I was at the time I was in you know, a relationship to someone, and we were trying it out, and it really worked. It really worked. It's a really good what's the word? Diffuser. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah, diffuser. So in a situation where, you know, it's a duck, no, it's not, it's a chicken, yeah, over anything, any situation, and we come to them loggerheads, right?
Hmm.
Sort of with locked horns on something really kind of trivial, right? And it is subjective, to one person's trivial, it could be really significant and life threatening. But let's bring it back to it was just trivial, right? It was just something silly. And it didn't really matter. Like chicken and duck, don't really matter. Right.
Hmm.
Anyway, there's I think it was an elderly couple and they were sort of in their 80s. They'd been married for years, let's just say 60 years, something like that. I don't know. They were celebrating a long life of being in a marriage together. And they appeared to be very happy. And the presenter asked the guy, the husband, um, in 2 words, what's your secret?
Hmm.
And he simply replied, yes, dear.
Okay.
And I thought, that's genius. That's genius. Because what that meant to me, how I interpreted that, um, is that whatever the situation, even if he knew maybe it was a duck, not a chicken, he
Hmm.
would just go along with it and say, yes, dear. You know, diffuser. Don't really matter. Just go back to a harmonious place as quickly as possible because life's too short. And he'd lived that long life and he's still married. And, you know, they appeared to be happy talking about their, their lifelong commitment to each other and how it worked. And it's quite simply 2 words. That's how he said he did it.
Okay.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Like,
there's certain situations like, we can't all just say yes, dear to certain people.
yeah. I mean, he must have really loved her to have wanted to placate her at all times.
Mm,
Yeah.
codependent.
Maybe a little bit codependent. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I think after 60 years, you probably are, aren't you?
I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I don't know. But what's your motive? What's your motive? And what's at stake? Do you love someone enough to just compromise and go, yes, dear? It's okay. Don't matter. My point of view, I don't need to fixate on that. You know, does that alleviate frustration straight away for both people?
Yes. But does he end up being frustrated because he never gets to his?
I mean,
view. I don't know.
another way of interpreting that, what I just described, what I just said, is that what's the word? Submissive. Is that the right word?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that the right word?
yeah. He's submitting to her will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ball and chain.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. We don't know. You don't know what people present. They could have been on their, for all we know, behind closed doors, they absolutely hated each other.
maybe.
And they were just in some really, dysfunctional relationship, codependent relationship. They couldn't be on their own. We don't
Yeah,
know. I mean, I'm being very presumptuous there. I don't know, do I? How do I know?
yeah. I think it's a really difficult. I think that the societal norms are that we should be in a relationship, and we will placate or compensate. I'm trying to think of the right words. We'll
Overcompensate.
overcompensate be to fit in.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Do you think
Uh,
compromise our own needs are not met
yeah,
because of that? Do you think? I don't know.
I think there's times where we're happy to lose ourselves in situations if it means that we are part of something bigger.
Mm,
Like I think it's really difficult to find a voice, and I'm not just talking about relationships and partnerships, but I think in crowds, in sort of societal sort of situations where you want to fit in
mm,
and you don't want to be the one that stands out because that will put you at a disadvantage or a
mm,
perceived disadvantage. And I think that's where the frustration may come from, is that you end up doing things to fit in, to you know, to be all swimming in the same direction. And yeah, that what it. I, I think it's really difficult to find your voice and to stand up and say this is what I believe in. I think it's really difficult for people to be on their own. Am I just gone on a tangent then?
I don't know. Explain. Can you explain more?
Um, I think we live in a society where we, it's 2.4 kids. It's like, it's the social media sort of generation, and I think that's just sort of cemented it and made it even worse. That you have the beautiful holidays, you have the kids that they're all dressed the same. You have the pajamas at Christmas, like the family Christmas photo where you're all wearing the same pajamas and
Like
in
the
front of the Christmas tree.
yeah, like the adverts and the
Yeah,
commercials.
and
Yeah.
it's like we're all trying to fit that ideal,
Mhm.
and I think people's frustrations from an individual perspective come from the fact that they can't do that, they can't achieve it.
Mhm.
They can't all be this perfect family,
S-
and I think it's because we're not conditioned to accept ourselves. We're frustrated at our own
Yeah.
lack, our own inability to be. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that's where I'm going with this. Is that it's how many people are comfortable sitting with themselves.
Mm. I just want to excuse me. I just want to interject with the word um I am enough,
Mm,
or the saying I am enough. Because that's what just
yeah,
arose for me when you
yeah,
just said that. Um yeah, that's how I interpreted what you just said, Do we feel so anyone listening, um, as always, how is this relating to you? Frustration is it can mean so much to us in different ways. It really
Mhm.
can, and I think at the root of it all is what I think there's something in it, what you're saying, because we have this, maybe we've got mixed messages, signals, programming, conditioning. There's a clear message that we've been fed. I think it came out of maybe 1950s post-war. I don't know if I'm wrong in saying this. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's like this. It's this whole thing. They're using it now, aren't they? Build back better,
Yeah.
make everything great again,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Okay. So what are you comparing that to, though?
yeah.
It's like past tense. So there's this sort of very clear message that we're meant to have the lawn
Mhm.
with the sprinklers on or the picket fence,
Yeah, yeah.
and this beautiful, beautiful partner, wife, blue-eyed kids, whatever. I'm just saying blue-eyed. I don't know why they don't have to be blue-eyed. They can be any blooming color. Doesn't matter. But you know what I mean. It's just how my brain interprets
Blue
this image.
children. We're meant to just have blue children.
Smurfs.
Yeah.
Um, I used to love the Smurfs. Um, yeah, Smurfs, whatever you want.
They had an idyllic, little village, didn't they? They were all happy.
Yeah,
Maybe
they
that
were.
is the
They were onto
aspiration.
something, man.
Yeah.
I think they were onto something. And then you've got the car on the driveway, and then Dad's got his briefcase, and he goes and gets in his car and drives off and goes to work,
Mm,
comes back. It's that, right? And that to me feels very Americana, 1950s
mm,
advertising, movies, and here we are years and years later, still trying to, you know, uh, realize that vision, perhaps in our own version of it, right? And is it any wonder that we may feel we fall short? I know I did.
yeah.
And that's where, you know, deep down, I don't feel enough because I feel inadequate.
Mm,
There's an inadequacy that comes with the frustration of not meeting that ideal
yeah.
that maybe we are all somewhere in our lodged in our fucking psyche is some sort of programming that's on loop that we've received from movies and wherever. The message is clear and it's potent and it's on loop that I'm not there yet. And even if you do attain some of that stuff, why do I not feel happy?
Yeah.
Maybe. And there's always going to be an underlying, maybe there's agitation is part of that. I don't know if anyone that's listening is with me on this. I don't know. Please correct me. Ben, please correct anyone. Help me out here. Is there an underlying sense of agitation that comes with frustration of not feeling like you've got what we're told is meant to, provide all the nutrients for life? Am I going totally off piece?
No, no, I like that. I mean, it's reminding me of, have you seen Blue Velvet? David Lynch.
Yes. I watched that not so long ago,
Oh,
actually.
it's an incredible film. But that
Yes.
that whole idea of the white picket fence, which he just does
Y
brilliantly at the beginning, and then the
yes.
guy has the heart attack with the hose, and the darkness seeps in throughout the film. Um,
It's a nice interpretation, I think,
yeah,
of what we're talking about,
yeah,
maybe. That's maybe his, I don't know. I'd love
yeah.
to know whether that's why how he did that. Why
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean, that's when that's his whole life, isn't it? Or his whole body of work, Twin Peaks, and all of it is just showing that underneath this veneer, there's stuff happening that we can't cope with, and I think at the moment it's more pronounced than ever because of social media that we've done all the things. We've done we got married, we had the kids, we got the car, we've got the job. So, like you said, why the hell do I still feel so frustrated, so unhappy that I'm actually not where I'm meant to be.
Mm,
Um, I love that Talking Heads track. This is not my beautiful house. This is not my
mm,
beautiful wife. You know, that sort of sense that actually uh, I didn't earn this. I didn't get to where I didn't get what I wanted. And I think, that's what's playing out in society at the moment. Is there's a sort of reaction to this idea that we're not getting what we want, and even after we've done everything that everyone's asked us to, we're not getting where we want to be. And so there's
yeah.
this huge frustration that plays out probably on social media. I don't know, because I'm not on it at the moment, um but this sort of, I don't know, this sort of baiting of each other. It's like there's this perfect life, and then there's all this darkness underneath, and they're
Mm.
just sort of playing off against each other.
Yeah, totally. And I'm just reflecting on how it affects me. How is frustration prevalent in my life today? Um, and it can mutate in so many different ways. It really can. Um, Sexual frustration. I'm just gonna be honest because I can be.
Hmm.
I'm really quite well versed at it. It doesn't bother me. There's no taboo attached to that. I think anyone listening may be like, "Oh, sexual frustration. Oh
Hmm.
God." It's a bit of a bit of a subject to get into, but let's get it real, everyone. Come on. I feel like even in the perfect, like what we're talking about, the perfect scenario that we're all meant to be in, at the center of it, that sort of stuff can come up.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. I'm throwing a curveball just to fuck shit up a little bit, make it.
Well, I mean, I think the example you gave earlier about the old couple. I mean, that's dangerous in that sense of the idea that the man just goes along with what the woman says. So we're creating like almost stereotypes there of like the woman is in control and the man just like, yeah, yeah, whatever, dear. And there's a sort of
Right.
sexism playing out there.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Vice versa. It doesn't have to be the
No.
guy being submissive. It's more common probably that it's
Yeah.
actually the other way around.
But there's also an idea there, like you said, there's 60 years worth of marriage, and like I don't know, 30-second soundbite on whatever the program was where they were interviewed, and actually there won't have been 60 years of bliss. There will be a whole roller coaster of emotions and experiences.
Five affairs.
Yeah,
Yeah, all of
yeah,
that.
all of that stuff going on, and I
We're speculating, by the way. We
we
don't
are
actually
sorry,
know.
yeah, yeah. But aspirationally, we're sort of told that's the ideal, is that we're meant to be in, have 60 years of marriage, and these people are meant to be put on a pedestal because they've
Mm.
survived that institution. And again, I think it's am I enough? I'm being pushed towards this ideal, and is it okay just to be on my own and to just hang out and just be enough without
Yes. Yes,
without
Ben.
getting frustrated at the lack of connection? And I think that's where we sit at the moment,
Yeah.
is that there's lots of, I mean, I think I'm going to put this statistic out there, and I'm really not confident I've got this right. But I was listening to someone talk about dating apps, and it's this incel thing, isn't it? Is it 90-10 or 80-20? I don't know what
What's
the
that?
statistic.
What you
The idea that the sort of like someone said on the dating apps that like there's only 10% of men that get dates, and the other 90% are left really frustrated.
Probably that to me that sounds like that makes sense. You know, that sounds pretty accurate, and I don't know for sure, but you know, I've never used. I think I've actually downloaded an app and got on it once or twice, but then within like literally an hour of being on it, thinking, "What am I doing?" and just deleted it, and I don't
Yeah.
use them. Never used them like from that point. They're just so wrong to me, and I'm not saying they're bad because I know loads of people that have been successful on them. I know people have actually got married through it.
Yeah.
So it's just my relationship, as always, to it, and I don't like it, and I don't want to use it. I'd rather meet someone in aisle four of a supermarket and have a very organic way of doing it. I don't want to be on that shit. But
I
that's just
think,
me. Go
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Sorry.
And I totally concur with that. But I think it's this ideal again. Like, I mean, I'm presuming that on the I don't know what the relationship is in terms of percentages for women, but there is a frustration out there, or it's a perceived frustration, that people aren't getting what they want, and then they end up sort of in this position like, "Oh, I deserve this," which is where we get into that sort of really, you know, toxic, aggressive, like, I'm not getting what I want, so I'm going to go and be forceful about it, and I'm going to be a absolute
Yeah, there's a desperation to it, right?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and do you think that desperation comes from what I was saying? You know, because I wasn't saying I'm sexually frustrated, by the way. I
Okay,
just thought no, I just thought I'd throw it in there. I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest. It's not to say I've never been and I can't get like that because damn right I bloody can. And maybe I'll get into that in a bit. Who knows? But you know, there is there's a lot of it's worth talking about. It is because, these are sort of things that it's the elephant in the room that, if there's an elephant in the room, if you're not talking about things, if you're not like just getting real about stuff, then where's it going? Where's
Mhm.
that, where's that desperation going? Where's that frustration going? Where's that, that strong sense of I feel inadequate. And I'm
Yeah,
talking for myself here. I'm talking
yeah.
about myself here, right? Like, I'll put my hand up, right, everyone, so that I'll go first, okay? And I'll invite you to back me up if you relate. I, throughout my life, suffered with a strong, deep sense of inadequacy, that
Hmm.
I am not enough, right? And there's something not right. And there's a sense of void in myself.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone is probably aware of the term the hole in my soul, you know? And maybe that's what it is. Maybe. I don't know for everyone. But for me, that hole in my soul that I felt, right? I tried to fill that. Okay. Now, I never, to this day, have somehow not been married, you know?
Hmm.
Came close to, I came, you know, I felt like I was with someone that was the one.
Hmm.
And it slipped through my fingers because I was too busy getting at it I had a chemical romance that fucked that one up.
Hmm.
I was cheating on the drugs, Dave, get a grip. Anyway, that was act one of my life. Um, but anyway, yeah, so filling that emptiness, that inadequacy of I'm not enough, maybe if I just, you know, change my look, I'll get these clothes. Yeah, you know, feel good now, that's fixed it for a bit. And then it's like, oh, get a car,
Hmm.
get a Merc, right? Yeah, that's
Other cars are available.
oh yeah, sorry. And and you know where I'm going with this,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So done all that. The only thing I didn't do was the big fat mortgage, the bride,
Mhm.
the 2 kids, the dog, the lawnmower, all of that stuff, the Smurfs, you know? All
There was only one female Smurf though, wasn't there? That's part of the problem, I think.
they wouldn't get away with that now.
No, but they
They'd
were
be
quite
cancelled.
happy.
They
Mate,
would have been cancelled.
they
Smurfs
really
would have
would have
been
been, yeah.
cancelled. Anyway, so am I riffing too much here? Is this
No,
going all
no,
over the place?
I like where you're going.
Alright, so where I'm going is that you know, there are gonna be repeats on these because, it's we're just getting into the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of what makes us human, right? This is the whole
Mhm,
point of it. And I can only talk from my own experience. And of course, I work with a lot of other people and I help, in a process of doing that for other people. But for me, because I can't possibly share about other people's stuff, but for me, I can.
mhm,
And my experience of this is that, at 34, I was on the floor praying to a God that I didn't believe in to save my soul.
mhm.
There you go, people. All right. So, because I didn't want to be here anymore,
Yep,
because I'd seen all my life around me things playing out, that message that we're taught, and through movies and, all of this very provocative, intoxicating imagery of the dream of what's on offer here in life that we can all get if we are lucky enough,
yeah,
or maybe we're entitled to have it. I don't know. And I certainly know entitlement because I used to have it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
did I feel like I was entitled to that? I still to this day, are we entitled to have all of this stuff? Are we meant to have all this stuff? Are we meant to be in union like that couple, the yes dear
yeah.
couple? Are we meant to be? I don't know, right? What I do know is for me, that void, inadequacy, feeling not enough, right, was alleviated when I filled it with something far more greater, more substantiated, that had more longevity, and it wasn't materialism. It was it was a reconnection to truth.
Mhm.
So what is that truth?
I What's coming up for me from what you just said is the word connection, which you've just talked about, reconnecting to your truth. And I think if we're going, we seem to be going around this idea uh, of relationships and
It's very
union of two
frustrating.
people.
It's very
Very
frustrating.
frustrating. um, but this idea that we don't connect, and I think like even in your, sorry, I'm talking about you, but I should be talking about me. But
No,
even in
you can
my,
talk about me. I don't mind you talking about me.
but even in my darkest pits of just messing my life up in any way I possibly can, there was connection. There was connection with people, like you're saying. You even when you were in the middle of a chemical romance, you were connected with another individual that you could have possibly ended up, I don't know, having the 30, 40 year.
I wanted to. I
Yeah.
believe you me. I really wanted to. I
And
really
I
did.
and I think it's just that those connections at that point, either we weren't healthy or the other person wasn't healthy or the connection wasn't healthy. And this idea that we stop connecting, and I feel that's what's happening at the moment, is it's put out, it's perception that you're not, that young people don't think they can connect. They don't think they're good enough, and so they're not going to end up with the connection they want.
Mhm.
They're not going to end up in the relationship they want. They're not going to end up with the status they want.
Yeah.
So then it turns into this frustration, this aggression, this sort of really toxic way of thinking that either it's women's fault or it's men's fault or it's whoever's fault. Someone else is to blame, and so someone else is going to pay. And I think it's about making healthy connections again, or recognizing what is healthy, and that's the crux of it. Because I know now, and this is only in recent thinking, because I've done a lot of it, of making really unhealthy connections, and I'm gonna be really honest and say that's
Mm,
mainly from my perspective, is that I have never been fully understanding of uh my own dysfunction
mhm,
until recent years. So I would make unhealthy connections appear healthy for a period of time, and then I would
mhm.
I would disrupt them, because that was my mo. That's how I worked.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a situation where I feel I possibly could make healthy connections,
Mhm,
but I'm choosing to wait. I'm choosing to find some time for myself and realize, back to that, am I good enough? Yes, I am. I'm doing some work that means that I'm okay.
mm,
And if I'm okay, then hopefully I will make healthy connections at some point. But
mhm.
I think out there at this moment in time, there's just lots of people who are struggling to make those connections and struggling to build communities in a way that is healthy,
Yeah.
to be like the Smurfs, just to be happy.
I love it. I love this Smurf thing.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a really. I'm glad we always seem to have a little something come into the mix to to bolt on to what we were talking about. How the fuck did we end up with a Smurf on this episode? Um, I love what you just said. I really relate to it. I resonate with it. Um, so for me, how I relate to that is like you. Again, it's repeating. This is the theme. There's going to be some similarities.
Mm,
There's always going to be similarities. In what we're talking about with everything, because it all points to the same thing. Who am I?
yeah.
Again, that's coming up again,
Mm,
right? Because out there with what's going on at the moment, this is really relevant. What we're talking about, frustration.
mm,
I think everyone be amazed if someone said, "I don't feel frustrated by the world we live in at the moment." Unless you're living in Fiji
yeah.
or somewhere like that, because it's just a lot calmer and whatever. But where we are and what's going on at the minute with everything that's going on, there's a lot of frustration.
Yeah.
And what that creates is a whole host of emotions, ideas, thoughts, feelings, reactions. Um, so again, it comes down to unskillful, skillful, healthy, unhealthy, functional, dysfunctional,
Yeah.
right? So yin yang,
Mm,
which one are you doing? Are you sitting in all of the lower, hard, murky, sticky, icky, horrid, you know, disabilitating, if that's the right word, um, emotions, thoughts,
mm-hmm.
ideas, ideologies, behaviors?
Yeah.
Or are you in the more, enlightened, lighter, freer, more liberated, harmonious, peaceful, calmer ones, you know? And you only have to go out where I am, I think, because of the setting,
Mm-hmm.
and where I am, it's by the sea, a lot of land, nature. Everyone's more grounded.
Yeah.
We're more grounded. We are.
Mm,
Everyone that's come here, I'm one of them. Come here because we want to be on the land and we're grounded, right? there's more, it's connectivity to the true nature of life. Getting
Yeah.
cosmic now, but
Yeah.
fuck it. This is so relevant. So there's a connectivity because if I rely on the connectivity to all that, then lower vibrational um, noise that's going on. Now, this does sound like it's a theory, minus the con,
Yeah.
the conspiracy theories. This isn't. This makes sense to me. That is it any coincidence that all of that darker noise, the swirling, the distraction, the chaos, the mania, the all that murky stuff,
Yeah.
right? That's a necessary, it's there, I feel like for people to feed on if they want and be caught up in if they want. Is there any coincidence that it's there to distract us from being connected and more conscious so that
Hmm.
we realize our strength, our power, um, that we are enough,
Yeah. Yeah.
that you know, we have what we need. When you're in the land, when you're in nature and it's just you and nature, you understand, you realize that you're enough, that you're part of something that's enough. And as long as I've got basic needs met, that I can eat, I've got a roof over my head,
You can light fire.
yeah, that's enough. The frustration falls away.
Yeah.
And so all that noise that's going on, so it's going on anyway. It's always there. It's always been there. I think I feel like there's a connection between that noise and certain people that want to create that noise, so that there's a bunch of people that are stuck in this sort of like dysfunction, so that it's a distraction. That sounds really conspiracy vibes, doesn't it? But that's the way I see it. So I'm like, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be caught up in all that stuff and feed on all that mad shit? And just feel inadequate and frustrated and angry and all the stuff that comes with that, and hate and hateful and ungrateful and all that stuff? Or do you want to come over here and disconnect from that stuff and reconnect, rewild even, to your
Yeah.
primal needs and your innate, you know true nature of what it is to actually, I'm enough with just this stuff over here. Simplicity. I don't need to get caught up in all that noise, all that mad shit. It's okay. Have I drifted?
No, I think it's misinformation, and it's so disruptive at this moment in time. The information sources that we are taking our truth from, and I think it's I mean, I'm going back to that. I think it's 80/20 because it was on that adolescent show, wasn't it? It's this idea that 80% of women fancy the top. No, or yeah, 80% of women fancy the 20% of men. But it's
Hang
just
on. Has 80% of what?
80% of women fancy. Hey, the incel rule is that 80% of women are attracted to the top 20% of men.
What does that even mean?
Exactly. And I think it's like,
What does that even mean?
it's,
Who's to say that there's a top 20%? Like, it
yeah,
just
yeah.
sounds nuts, doesn't it?
It's this idea that this misinformation that's going out there, that this is what's happening in society, is that this, like, that means that 80% of men aren't ever going to have a girlfriend or ever have a partner, which is absolutely nonsense. So
Yeah.
we're listening to this data or these statistics that get thrown out without actually questioning them, without going, is that true? Is that real? Or, and getting caught up in that noise, that
Mm.
we're never going to be. I was going to name the most important family in America then, but I won't. But this ideal, we get these soap opera TV programs showing us this reality world of, perfection, and it's nonsense, absolute nonsense, that we're taking our truth from this perspective.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, I think even adolescence is dangerous in that idea that there are that it almost feels like that's what's happening in the world now, that all men are being aggressive and horrible to women. There is definitely a group of men that are doing that, and there's
Always have done,
and always
believe.
have done. There's always
Always
been
have
that
done.
sort of toxicity, but it's not it's not uh it's not everyone.
Mm,
And I feel like we sort of sit in this negative place where the information is confirming that everything is bad, that we're in a really terrible place at this moment in time, and actually, you know, the chances of you being good enough are pretty slim.
mm,
When actually it's the flip side of that. Is most people are okay. Most people are good enough.
yeah,
And most people will, if they if they just live their lives in a more, well, no, not even in more, but just live their lives, they're going to be
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah,
And hopefully they will be that old couple that stay together for 60 years, but it's tough and it's going to be really hard. And sometimes you'll argue and sometimes you'll be tempted by Mrs. Smith that lives next door because she's
yeah,
younger and more attractive. I don't know, but it's all of that stuff that is real that we're not allowed to, or not allowed to. We just don't talk about,
yeah,
and we end up in this situation where we're like, actually, all men are rubbish, or all women are rubbish, or all this part of society are rubbish, and
mm,
we live in this black and white sort of, you know, totality that it's like we can't just say sometimes it'll be good, sometimes it'll be bad, sometimes you may be in the middle,
yeah,
and yeah, it does leave us in that sense of it's really difficult to connect in any meaningful way because you're always worried that it's going to go wrong, that you're not going to be good enough.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So true. What do you think is the opposite of frustration?
I don't know. Calmness, acceptance.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say that. I think as soon as you said acceptance, I'm like, yeah, that lands for me
Yeah,
anyway.
which is what I mean. You know, it's however you want to put the context or the perception of what that guy said. Is he being patronizing to his wife or whatever, or actually is he just saying yes, dear,
Yeah,
because he's accepting his wife
yeah,
and his partner of 60 years as the person, as the one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a surrender to frustration. You've got to surrender to your frustrations.
Yeah,
Maybe. Don't know where I got that from. Maybe Yoda said it.
maybe. Yeah.
How would Yoda say it?
Frustration, surrender, you must.
Yes. Yes. That's it. Exactly that. So, um, can you not do it in a Yoda voice?
I'm
No,
not doing that.
I'm
No,
I'm
I'm
joking.
not. I'm not going to do that.
So yeah, I feel that again, bringing it back to what I was saying earlier, right? So there was a huge frustration, agitation, alienation,
Hmm.
disconnection, um, to living in that way. And my perception, it's an attitude.
Yeah.
I believe frustration is an attitude that we hold on to. Maybe there's some addiction involved in that. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that is that we're attaching to it. We're choosing to attach the feeling and the idea of being frustrated. When all we need to do, really, in my humble opinion, is, and this is what I did. I said, it resulted in me praying to a God that I didn't believe in. I'm not getting all biblical here, and bringing in religion, because for me, I didn't believe in some sort of supreme being that could restore my sanity, and help me. I didn't believe in it, but I was desperate. There was that desperation and hopelessness that I felt in my life at that time where I didn't want to be here anymore. So I just threw out a bat signal to something to save my soul,
Yeah.
right? And do you know what? This does sound biblical, because something um something happened, right? There was and what it was, and let me just, for anyone listening, let me explain, right? So there's some control, and it's fear-based control that's attached to the attitude that I had at that time in my life of frustration, that I'm a victim here,
Yep.
right? The world's against me. And I'm vehemently holding on to a sense of control because I'm so scared and I feel really overwhelmed. And there's a lot of angst in my life. I feel really, really like not good, to put it mildly. So when I when I kind of and it was a surrender. It was a surrender. I was surrendering. I was literally putting my hands up or waving a white flag, going, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. This
Mm.
isn't working for me. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't like how I'm living and be, I don't like how I feel. I don't like the thoughts that are rampantly pecking away at me every day. And there's a lot of judgment that comes with that, and a lot of criticism, all pointed at me. I'm putting a gun to my head. No one's doing it. No one's putting a gun to my head. I'm putting the gun to my head. That attitude was me putting a gun to my head, metaphorically speaking.
Yep.
So for me to just, you know, admit it and go, look, I can't do this anymore. I need help to change a few things here.
Mhm.
I had a realization. It was like an epiphany, a aha moment. And that's the surrender. Waving a white flag and admitting to something I don't even know what I was admitting it to, but that was me surrendering, saying, look, I'm fucked.
Yep.
I'm fucked. I don't feel enough. There's an emptiness in me. There's a void. I'm depleted. I can't go on. And I need some sort of freaking intervention here. Something's got to come in and help me out here. And, it doesn't have to be some unseen entity that, some people might call God or whatever. I'm not talking about that. It's about just reconnecting to something that's some sort of power, because there's a powerlessness that comes with frustration,
Yeah. That's really
right?
important.
There's a powerlessness that comes with frustration. If you feel frustrated, it's because probably, ask yourself this: do I feel like I'm lacking in some sort of power somewhere area of my life? Maybe you're frustrated with your kids because you feel you have no power. They're running the show, man, and you've got no power over them anymore.
Mm.
That's common. I know that one because I
Mm.
deal with it a lot. Right. So there's a powerlessness that comes with our frustrations. Everything I'm talking about is powerlessness. Where are we going to get our power from?
And
You
I think that I think it's two people that have felt like outsiders a lot of their lives. I think, in the olden the olden days, in the time before social media and digital age, you know, we were, those outsiders, whether they were the skaters, the ravers, the indie kids, whatever they were, the people that were on the edge, the punks on the edge of society,
pirates.
that formed their own little cliques to
Mm,
survive, and their own connections, however unhealthy or messed up they were. But
mm,
there was a sense of solidarity there, and it just feels for me at the moment that there's more and more of that happening
mm.
in terms of people feeling like they're on the outside of society. We've been pushed to the edges
Yeah.
more and more and separated, which goes back to
Disempowered.
disempowered
Disempowered. Yeah.
and feeling absolutely powerless and feeling like, um, yeah, that no one is listening. And
Yeah.
I go back to the idea that it's not a conspiracy at all. I think it's all calculated. I think it's
Mm,
the lack of any cohesion
mm,
amongst people means that it's easier to control us. Like, it's easier for us
Yeah,
to do for society to carry on as it is. And I think
yeah, yeah.
there is a shift coming. There's a shift in this idea that capitalism, this quest to have more stuff isn't working, and it's going to get to a point where we've got all the stuff, and we're broken.
Well, yeah, that's already
Well,
happening,
yeah,
man. Yeah, I mean, that happened every time. I mean, it happened in the 80s, wasn't it? Like, greed is good, all that malarkey,
yeah,
right? So, was that the 80s? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. So look, let's not focus on um the problem. Let's focus on the solution because I want this to be. We've already highlighted that, and
yeah,
I don't want to carry on. Brings me down, man. As it does you,
yeah,
so we're solution based, aren't we? Yeah, I know
mhm,
you are, and I know I am. So, shining a light on this stuff. Anyone that's listening, um, may be with us on this and go, yeah, I do feel disempowered. I feel powerless. And there is a sense, I always say this, is a sense of entrapment that comes with that powerlessness. I certainly know that one. When I feel like I don't have any power, I feel like I'm trapped in my situation.
mhm,
That's where the frustration, all that stuff comes from, in my opinion. So, when I was surrendering my white flag of like, I need some help, because I tried, that pride and ego and all of the fear that I was governed by, which was coming from me, is my
mhm,
attitude that I held on to control and stay stuck. I, you know, I realized because someone, came into the mix who, there's a saying when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
yeah,
And anyone that's listening, if you feel that you're now in a place of teachability, because like me, I'm first to admit it's not until we become open to being taught that we
mhm,
can start to learn and change some shit. Because my best thinking got me to a point where I realised I didn't have a fucking a clue what I was doing. I was being a right little fucking twat about my life. Escaping, avoiding, deflecting, which we covered the other day, the other episode, deflecting. I was deflecting the truth because I was so scared.
yeah,
So surrendering is just you admitting that you're fucking powerless, man. And that's a big one for us guys, especially
yeah,
us tough
yeah,
guys, us tough guys that are meant to have the answers. You know, all of that malarkey. It's just, for me, getting real, getting honest, owning it, becoming teachable, becoming the student. I don't have all the answers. Didn't have any answers. And where do we get them from? Well, it really helps if for me, I wanted to, there's, I want what he's got. I
yeah,
want what that guy's got. Not because, or woman. It's not because they talk a good game. It's because they're living it.
yeah,
That's the most important thing. I want what they've got because they're living it. Not because I want their Bentley or VW Beetle or Fiat Punto. I've I've got into it now, and I am
yeah, yeah. You're
listing
naming
things.
all the other cars. What?
Yeah, no,
Good.
but you know what I mean. I want what they've got. It's not like I want their swimming pool. I want their, all of that material stuff. I want what they've got, and what they've got is self-assured, healthy sense of pride.
Mhm.
They seem happy,
Yeah.
like joyous, even. You know, they seem honest.
Mhm.
They seem consistent, reliable. They seem authentic.
Yeah.
They display integrity. There's an honesty there, genuine honesty. Um, and they seem relaxed and at ease with themselves and with each other, and there's no drama, and their life is seems really fucking great, and I want that. That's what I
Yeah.
want. You know, there's no inadequacy in that, and my experience of that, of what I've just described, because that's might be my experience, you know, I've
Hmm.
gained that, what I just described, is that you cannot not feel enough when you feel like that. There's
Yeah.
a sense of, ah, you know, I feel I'm enough. I feel blessed. There's some gratitude there. That attitude of everything else, all that dark, horrible, murky, nitty gritty shit, that this dissolves when you start to get into it, into the journey of who am I, and finding out that you don't need all this stuff to try and bolt onto a hole that you can't complete, can't fill with material things. It's such a simple premise, and it because it's so simple, most people overshoot it, and it's
Is that
boring,
yeah?
and it's not sexy, and it's not attractive, it's not shiny, it's not glittery.
It's that absolute acceptance of who you are and where you are, and
Acceptance.
yeah, and I think that is, like you said, you you can you can meet multimillionaires that haven't accepted who they are, and but from the outside look like they've got everything,
Mm,
and then you can meet people who have nothing, who have fully accepted who they are,
mm.
and it doesn't matter how little they've got or how much they've got.
Yeah,
And I think that's the energy and the power that we gravitate towards, is those people that actually, yeah, that they have accepted they are
mm,
enough in whatever
mm.
shape or form they are.
Yeah, yeah,
And that realization can come, yeah, can come at any point in life, but
yeah,
it's a difficult one to achieve.
yeah, totally. But it's there for everyone. And I was saying that, you know, nature lends itself. It's nature's there for us to absorb, soak it in, you know, connect. You know, we are part of that.
Mm.
We are. We're part of it. We're not separate from it. It's not sort of like, oh, I have to, you know, we're part of it, right? And I would encourage anyone to actually lean into what I'm saying. You know, if you really feel like there's a lot of frustration, if you feel like you're really struggling to connect to, you know, the solution of what we're talking about, and getting into that stuff, start with nature to ground yourself into, you know, the present moment,
Hmm.
right here, right now. Get out your head in a healthy way. Don't get out your head on fucking mind or substances, because that's not really gonna get you where you need to get to, right? Get out your head by grounding yourself into nature. Go and climb a fucking tree. Very least, hug one.
Yeah, yeah.
Tree huggers. But there's something in it, I'm telling you, man. But like, go and get into some nature, right? If you've got a river near you and you've got a dog, go and walk your dog. Don't put a podcast on of, like, you know, even if you're listening to this, turn it off. Turn this off. If you're walking along a river, turn it off. Listen to it when you're in the bath or something, right? And connect to your senses. You know, what does it smell like to be here right now in this, you know, walking along this river? What does it sound like? What can I hear? You know, what does it taste like? What does it
Mm.
feel like? What does it look like? You know, really, it's so elementary, but honestly, because of all of the distractions that we have now in life, and the screen is the biggest one I can think of that we can all relate to, are you actually using those five sensory components that we've got that maybe we're not using effectively? It's a really simple premise, but it's so potent. This is the solution, people, right? Is to unplug, connect to nature, and use them five sensations. What does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? I think I named all of them. And start to practice that stuff. That's an instant connector to, you know,
Yeah. Well, and finding out where the frustration sits in terms of on that scale that we talked about earlier, the 1 to 10 scale.
mm,
Where do those frustrations sit, and where are they gonna where are the ones that are 9, 10 that you actually need to do something
yeah,
about, and where are the ones that are 2, 3, and they're not, just finding a place.
yeah.
I'm going to use the word because basically what you're talking about is meditation.
It's meditative, yeah.
Yeah, you are
Stillness.
going and you're walking and you're being still. Well, no, sorry, you're not. You're walking, but you can do it. But you're finding a stillness,
There's a
finding
stillness to it, to the
a,
walking, and yeah, of
a,
course.
qui- a quiet, peaceful place where you can contemplate and meditate and
Hmm.
just think about stuff.
Just be.
Yeah,
Just be.
yeah, without all the noise that we've talked
Yeah.
about earlier.
Yeah, yeah. We got to separate, and we got to separate. Like someone said to me once, and I like this, right? So anyone that knows what the M25 is that goes around London, I've forgotten the name of the one, the freeway that comes in and out of Los Angeles, goes through it, and I think it's 405 or 450 or something like that. I can't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. But someone said to me once that it's like being in modern world life with all the distractions and noise and blah 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 blah, right? That's like sitting in right slap bang in the middle of the motorway lanes with all the cars speeding past you, right?
Hmm.
What we're talking about is you're choosing, because you're choosing to do that,
Hmm.
right? And I'm being like proper direct with that. You are choosing to sit there in that noise, in that traffic,
Yeah,
right? You are. You're choosing to do it. No, I'm not. Fucking not. You fucking are. You're choosing to sit in that traffic, right? So why not try and think about it? Why are you doing that? Come off the freeway, come off of the motorway, get out of the traffic, go and sit in the fields, right? Away from all of that noise and that traffic and that mayhem. Go and sit in the fields. Why are you choosing to sit in that traffic? Go and sit in the fields and maybe look back at the traffic, and you'll have a realization that that's fucking nuts that you were sitting in that traffic. Does that make sense?
yeah,
But you're never gonna have that realization if you're still in the traffic.
yeah,
So you've got to come out of the traffic, man.
yeah, yeah.
You've got to go and sit in the fields. Now, if you're like, well, there are no fields around me. Bullshit. There's got to be fields around you. You're telling me there's no fields around you? Well, I live in Manhattan. Go and sit in Central Park. You know what I mean? Or get out into the state, New York State. Go out, get out of the city. Just go out for a day and enjoy it.
Yeah,
Why are you choosing to be in noise? In my opinion, it's entanglement, it's addiction. It's feeding on the drama, the noise. There's some sort of addiction behavior going on. It's mad to say that, but why are you choosing to be in it? You always have a choice. You've got to pull yourself out. And that's the surrender and acceptance of what is. That's getting
mm,
real with your situation.
yeah.
Yeah,
Rather than accepting the frustration.
exactly. It's perception. It always comes down to that. And the whole point of us doing this thing is not to, I riff and I get a bit passionate and I can jazz out and get into stuff. But this is what I do with my work stuff as well, because it's you've got to sometimes penetrate that denial. You've got to penetrate, the this attitude that, oh, well, it's just what it is and I can't do anything about it. Bullshit. You can. We've always got a choice. You're saying your powerlessness. Where's your fucking power gone?
Yeah,
How are you going to empower yourself if you feel trapped in your situation? You're not trapped. You're choosing to sit in the traffic, mate. So your empowerment starts when you start to take positive action to change the outcome for a better
yeah.
one. And we
Good.
all And we all have that power, all of
Yeah.
us. We're just not using it because we think we're not enough.
Yeah, we've given our power away,
Exactly.
and then that leads to the frustration,
Exactly.
and yeah, we think we can't get it back, but we can. I think that might be a good place to stop.
Okay. How
What do you
do you
think?
feel that went?
That was a good one.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I thought it was gonna be a re-record because I knocked my,
you tore over the beginning. I could
my
see you
my my
distracted.
my what are they called these things? Like,
Flask.
yeah, my
Probably.
my water flask went flying off my thing, just landed. Water went everywhere. It's all good.
Did you weren't frustrated at all?
Nah, I just accepted what is, mate.
Yeah, yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
Honestly, let me give you an ender
Go on.
example. Stubbing your toe,
Mhm,
right? Everyone can relate to that one.
mhm.
How do you react to stubbing your toe?
Usually swearing quite a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot of pain.
Yeah. Okay. I practice. Honestly, I'm being legit here. I
Okay,
practice when I stubbed my toe. I did it the other day. It actually went black. So maybe it's got a fracture in it. I don't know, but I'm being legit here, man.
okay.
I've broken bones on my feet, toes, skateboarding. I've
Mhm.
bust my feet quite a lot. With the toes, the skateboarders are quite good at it. There's sort of some sort of dissociation to pain.
Okay.
It comes with the territory of the job. And there's two ways of looking at that as perception as always. It's like, is that healthy or is it, I don't know, but I know how it was for me, you know. But now what I'm saying is that stub your toe. It's a really good opportunity to practice what I'm saying. You're gonna stay stuck in the traffic or it's about non-attachment.
How much do you care?
It's non-attachment. It's a surrender, acceptance. It's a non-attachment
Okay.
to what is. Am I choosing to lean into the pain and attach to it and go, oh, and make it worse and amplify it? Or do I non-attachment
Mm.
and remove myself from it and accept what is and surrender to the pain and it dissolves? Try it out, man.
Okay, well, go and stub your toe on purpose.
Go and stub your toe right now. No, and see if you can do it. Because it's little things like that. We stub our toes every day in life, metaphorically speaking. Are you choosing to make a meal out of it? And I'm not saying, if you've snapped your toe completely and it's dangling off your foot, I'm not saying you should just like walk around with it for the rest of the day.
So if you're 9-10 on the scale of toe pain, then
Yeah.
go for the doctors or A&E. But if you're
Yes.
2-3, try and soak the pain up.
You got to read the room with what's going on. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, let's just close it down before it gets a bit.
Too surreal. Was that good
Yeah.
for you? How did you find today?
I must admit, I've started this. I feel a little bit not completely. I was a little bit off axis because I feel a little bit ropey. With
Mhm.
got like some sort of lurgs, I reckon. But yeah, no, it was fun. I enjoyed that. It went all over the place, I feel.
It did. It did.
Um, Frustration. I was going to go with forgiveness,
Okay.
but I thought that might be a bit too. I don't know. So I just went with frustration, and well, I feel like we've got a full episode out of it, and
Yeah.
yeah, let us know what you thought. God, do I dare to say that?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Rice.
Okay, Mr. Noble, thank you so much as ever,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
speak to you very soon.
Yeah, I hope you have a very non-frustrating day.
Yeah. For a day full of acceptance.
Yeah,
Cool. All right. Take care, mate.
and you, mate. But
Bye.